Pressure is a weapon. It crushes the weak, folds the uncertain, bends those too afraid to resist. It is the force people use when they cannot persuade, when their words fail to control, when their power feels too small in the face of someone stronger. They pushed with all their might, leaning on you with their ridicule, their schemes, their underhanded tactics. But the harder they pressed, the firmer you stood. Their force met the unyielding wall of your will, and in that collision, they found the limits of their power. They threw chaos at you, like a battering ram, hoping it would splinter your resolve. Whispers, betrayals, manufactured crises, designed to unravel your calm, each one carefully calculated to make you falter. But chaos cannot shatter what thrives in its midst. You turned their storms into your stage, their chaos into the very air you breathed. They thought pressure would break you, but it only revealed your core, steadfast, unshakable, immune to their games. The harder they pushed, the clearer it became. This wasn't a battle they could win. There is a special kind of fear that grips people when their efforts to dominate fail. They used every trick, every angle, and still, you stood, untouched, unwavering. That fear is born of realization, the sinking understanding that the force they relied on has met something greater. You weren't just standing in defiance. You were exposing their weakness, their lack of substance. They pushed, and with every failed attempt, their power diminished, revealing just how small it truly was. Pressure demands reaction. That's its nature. It thrives on responses, on cracks, on the moments when its target buckles under the weight. But you gave them nothing. No anger, no fear, no retreat. Your silence was a roar, deafening in its power. It said more than words ever could, that their efforts were futile, that their strength was nothing compared to yours. Every time they pressed, it was as though they were pushing against the immovable. You stood as a reminder that not all things bend, not all things can be bought, shaken, or undone. They underestimated what it means to be unmoved. To stand firm is not just a physical act. It is an act of will, of belief, of refusing to let external forces dictate your inner world. It is knowing who you are, so completely that no one's attempts to redefine you matter. They thought their pressure could make you question yourself, could force you to change. But instead, it clarified you. It honed your resolve, made you sharper, stronger. While they grew exhausted from the effort, you remained steady, a constant in their whirlwind of desperation. Control is what they sought, and control is what you denied them. By standing firm, you robbed them of their leverage, their ability to manipulate, to steer the outcome. People who rely on pushing others rarely have the strength to stand alone. They need movement, need reaction, to justify their efforts. But you denied them even that. Your refusal to be moved wasn't just resistance. It was domination. It was the declaration that their power had no hold over you, that you were beyond their reach. Standing unmoved is an act of rebellion, and rebellion always comes at a cost. They called you stubborn, reckless, defiant, but those words were just masks for their frustration. Each insult was a confession, each accusation a testament to their failure. Their pushing wasn't about proving their strength. It was about masking their weakness. And your defiance stripped them bare, leaving nothing but their impotence for the world to see. You stood, and in doing so, you made their efforts meaningless. They threw everything they had at you, every tool of manipulation, every ounce of their strength. And when none of it worked, they began to fear. Fear is the natural response to something that cannot be controlled, to a force that remains untouchable. They feared not just your strength, but what it represented. The idea that someone could stand against them and win. Your immovability wasn't just a victory. It was a lesson, a warning that not all battles can be fought on their terms. In the end, their pushing was a testament to your strength. People don't push against what is weak. They push against what threatens them, what refuses to bow. They saw in you something they could not match, and their pressure was a desperate attempt to extinguish it. But you didn't break, didn't bend. And now, as they stand amidst the wreckage of their efforts, they are left with nothing but the memory of their failure and the shadow of your strength. They pushed, thinking it would move you. Instead, you became the mountain they could never conquer. You stood, and their weakness became undeniable.